All right, that was Princess Mononoke.
I want to know the direct, the Japanese that was when she said "I love you," because I always hear that it's sometimes kind of a mistranslation slightly. Like, I do know we took Japanese 1, so that means barely anything. But there is "I like you," which is normally used, and then there's "I love you," which is very special. You know, I think it's "aishiteru yo" or something.
Ashiteru, yeah.
Aishiteru, and that's very special.
It wasn't
ski. I heard ski.
Yeah, granted, there could be several different ways to say "I love you" in either way you mean it. Like "ashiteru yo," I don't think is the only way to say it in a romantic way either. But I think I understand why you brought that up.
I mean, there's been shows and there's been instances where I've took it as the very extreme, passionate, romantic "I love you."
Yeah.
But it can also be many things. It could be "I really care for you," "I like you."
Yeah.
So I wonder.
I could see it in a lot of different ways. I don't think it matters too much because I think the broad truth is they care for each other to an extreme level. And even though that Ashitaka is human, she can see past that for him. And
I think it's really interesting that this wasn't a love story where they're now going to live together as princess and prince and kind of maybe go back. I thought, I get a little bit into it. I thought, maybe they're going to go back to his village together or something. Because I'm sure she would probably get along with his villagers. They seem to very much respect the land where he came from.
Yeah.
So that's where I thought maybe it was going to go. But interesting, he's going to live at the ironworks and she's going to stay in her home.
Which I like that she doesn't have to leave. This is for everything that she's known. She has her family there. And in a regard, Ashitaka left his village with a finality, a goodbye. Yeah. They knew he didn't need to come back.
Right. I don't think he left with the "I'm going to be back here" attitude. And I don't think the people that said goodbye to him expected that either.
Correct.
Yeah.
I do wonder if there was ever anybody who thought that there could potentially be a sequel.
This feels like there could be, but...
not that I'd necessarily want one, but I just... I wonder if people had ever desired that due to, the ongoing war with the samurai. And
we're seeing the creation of muskets here.
Yeah.
And the outing of the samurai and the way of the sword and the bringing in of muskets and gunpowder.
It's very interesting. I definitely agree that Toki was actually the main character.
This was a big female empowerment movie. Not just because of Princess, obviously she's badass, she's strong, she's cool, San. But the women of the ironworks, Lady Boshi.
Yeah.
There was a lot of examples of really courageous, funny, but still loving and friendly and compassionate women.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's so awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this was made, I think, in 1997. I could be wrong. But I loved it. And I loved the characters and the dynamics between the men and women in the village.
And to hear that all of these women that were there, their freedom was bought by Lady Eboshi, and all of these men are being ruled by Lady Eboshi. They're being she's in charge of the ironworks, and they respect her. And from the language that was used in some of the dialogue, it seems like the men were very respectful to the women and very cared about them, and vice versa. And it just seems like they were a group of people, a communal group of people that all cared about each other. And that was really cool.
It was. There was so many different moral sides to try to be on and try to understand. I think the default for what we're used to is trying to pick one or the other, and that's just not
who's
the
right,
point.
Who's wrong. I need to know right off the bat so I know. who to root for.
But that's just not the point.
Right.
Like,
I mean, isn't that the whole... This is, like, rooted so much in reality in terms of our kind of battle with nature in the way of, like, as humans try to keep growing technologically and advancing and spreading out, and there's more and more people, the forest is taken over. It's something we hear about and think about often.
Yeah. And like even at the end scene when the reforestation happened and you can see it, like, nature taking back over, like, over buildings and stuff, like, we see that happen, you know? At one point I wrote, "Dear God, is time?" ? Because, like, I don't know, a lot of this movie, like, really made me introspectively think about death and accepting it, and the fact that Dear God was life and death and could give and choose when to give that to people, seemingly regardless of the circumstance. And it was very interesting, like, because from the beginning, Ashitaka, like, was told he was going to die, and he had accepted that with his mission. But throughout the movie, he still tried to find ways to, like, not, like, to save himself as well. I like the themes of life and death were, like, so
Prevalent.
deep. I think I need to rewatch this movie a couple of times to really even begin to say or even think that I understood what this movie was trying to tell me.
I think my favorite example of possibly starting to get to the root of the Dear God and its powers over life and death is that in the scene where Moro and Okuto were appearing with all of the, rage upon them, all of the anger turning into demons, the Dear God, I think the people said that they wanted life, but he gave them death.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a prime example of the fact that you don't really no one gets to kind of choose when they die.
Yeah.
Some other force decides that. A god decides that. Life decides that for you. And whether you want to live or die isn't always listened to.
Very true. I think that the Oracle said something in regards to what you're touching on right now, and I'm gonna try to find the line. But whatever it was great. I love... if you search for evil with eyes unclouded. That's a great line.
Do you think your eyes become unclouded when you're faced with death and the inevitable of death?
Maybe.
And since he's been cursed and has basically inevitable death upon him, his eyes are then unclouded.
I like that. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. It's hard to find lines since it's a long movie, but, like, the whole, like, theme of, like, are you ready to face your destiny? Sorry, like, it's just, like, being prepared. Like, it seems like living every moment like this. It could be it, and, like, acknowledge that and just live your life steadfast.
How did he come to be so ready to face these things that even people 2 times his age aren't willing to face and think about? Is it like he takes it all in and he takes this curse in and he handles it, like, with such, like, grace and kindness, and he chooses to, yes, he wants to lift the curse, but he chooses not to wallow in this fear and sadness over inevitable death.
Yeah. I think the Oracle's line of, we cannot change fate, but we can rise to meet it. I thought that was really great.
It, like, sums up his character, basically.
Yeah. The themes in this movie are, like, there's so many, and it leaves me feeling with so many, like, introspective thoughts, but also, like, holy shit, this is a great movie. It's depth. One thing that's really interesting. I'm used to Studio Ghibli, however you want to pronounce it. I'm used to their works as, this is really fluid cutting food animation, and it looks so, like, you can tell which animation studio was the one who animated this scene by how beautiful the food looks in the animation. To see that used with cutting limbs off was the most surreal experience, because I could, like, it's like it's exactly what I related it to, like cutting food and like Spirited Away, to literally limbs flying off of bodies, and I was like, this is crazy.
And then the deer god's Nightwalker form and the kind of way that it globs and flows like water. Oh,
the art was great.
It's like reminds me of Ponyo when she's running on the waves.
I would love to know the inspiration for a few things, like San's mask and then the deer god's face. Because, like...
It was pretty creepy.
It's very easy to say it was pretty creepy, because it was, to me at least, initially. But I'm wondering what, like, the historical, if there is any, like,
Is it based off of a drawing or depiction
or a
of
character,
a deer god?
I would love to know.
Japanese history?
Yeah. Because I feel like that knowledge might enrich my experience even more.
Are the Kodama real lore? Like, real folklore or fairy tale in Japanese?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Culture?
I mean,
or is this just for this movie?
Think about all the I said a few, but think about all of the correlations you could make to a story like Legend of Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, like, you know, like I wouldn't think that they got their inspirations from just Mononoke, but they could have. But
I mean, think about it. Normally, I would say I experience shows where the main character, hasn't fully reached his own potential of being, knowing what he wants, and, the way that he just already seems like such a solid kind of built person internally.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that with, like, Link in Legend of Zelda.
It's insane to think of all the different, like, I think it might have been very intentional to show that, to overwhelm us with all the different opinions and all the different beliefs of what each faction, I guess, or tribe should do, whether it's humans, whether it's monkeys, whether it's like the wolves, whether whether it's a samurai. There isn't a right answer, but the wrong answer is attacking each other.
Yeah. What is this guy's name again? The priest, the sharpshooter.
I didn't write his name down in the beginning.
With J.
Yeah.
It's like really short. I don't want to get it wrong. I said it during it, but now I'm like, oh my god, I'm thinking Jiko. It's something with an O at the end.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
But I'm still confused about his character. Like, I started it thinking he was like really great.
Jikobo, but Jiko, Jiko.
I started to think he was great, and I really liked him. And then I was like, wait, who are you actually, and what are you doing, and why do you not care?
Yeah.
About killing the deer god, and you're just doing what the emperor wants you to do. And then to find out that all of these sharpshooters basically threw grenades on top of the people of the ironworks, like,
it was devastating.
You're doing this just to give the head of the deer god to your emperor? Like,
he definitely had, like, his eyes on the prize, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But there was a, like, little portion of animation when San and Ashitaka were getting, like, were gifting the head back, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it was just amazing. It was so good. Like that whole, like, transfer. It was great. Where it's I can't even say. I was going to ask you, where do you rank this in your other movies that you've seen, but
I think it's too soon to say. I feel like I need to process the movie, kind of live with it for a little bit, revel in it, rewatch it, any of those things. I don't think I could rank it yet. I don't even think I could rank the 3 that I've seen. Yeah. I love all of them for different reasons. They're like different moods I'd be in to watch them.
Yeah. I love the character design.
Me too. Something I really liked was whenever you are like editing a video or thinking in that way about shots, you're like, okay, how long do I have this on the screen for?
Yeah.
There's always that kind of question. It has to be long enough, but not too long where people are like, okay, when's the next shot?
Yeah.
You know? And there was a few in this movie that I was like borderline about to be okay, but borderline. It felt good because the moments it was used was purposeful.
Yeah, and it felt was like deliberate.
Yeah, it felt like I think I said during it was like time passing.
Yeah.
And even though it was just like a still of a landscape, it was profound with the amount of time that it was on the screen for.
I agree with you because like you in a lot of like sometimes in like bad anime they like hold on a scene too long because they don't want to do animation. This was the complete opposite side of that coin because like so many movies I feel like nowadays are so scared to run over like an hour and 30 minutes, but you can use those type of shots to enhance like the vision and like the way that you're telling your story and like thematically, and I think they did that
because you can do something here. Emotionally to your audience. I just used the word profound. Don't you want your audience to be able to use words like that?
Exactly.
It's like it had you like really thinking about what was happening there. It was like, okay, everyone take a second and realize like this is what's happening.
Yeah. I don't really have anything negative to say about this movie. It's only positive. I just feel like I need to digest it.
Because there was a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people who are all kind of working for their own reasons and goals and have their own kind of idea of what's important and what to prioritize.
Yeah. I love that the Boers were like, that was their way. Like, that was their way.
They were going to go out. They were like, we're not going to just die. We're not going to just run away.
Yeah.
We're going to go out with a bang, basically. We're going to try our hardest, and we can die knowing that we fought.
Yeah. That was such an enjoyable movie. I wonder what it would have been like to like see it in theaters.
Probably awesome.
Animation was so solid. I mean, obviously it is. What, Miyazaki, right?
Yeah.
Everything it touches is cool.
So at first, when the branch was placed on the island by San to heal Ashitaka, I didn't quite know that was definitely the case, that the deer was taking the life from that and giving it to him. But now by the end of the movie, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was, there has to be a give and a take of life. Like, I almost feel like the deer wouldn't have been able to heal the curse of San and Ashitaka if it hadn't just killed all those people. It just took a bunch of life, and then it has restored the life and healed the curse of these two people.
I thought you were going to more specifically say that it had just taken the life of the...
Moro and Okito?
Yeah. Like, because that's 2 for 2. And it was like while it was still in its deer form before it was beheaded.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that could be the case. That was before it died, basically, or took on this death form. So yeah, those could be the 2 lives. It took 2, and then it gave 2 back. Which is a really cool way to think about it. I don't know if I'm completely understanding it correctly. Obviously, I'm not like reading a scholarly journal that's diving into this movie, which might exist.
I hope that Eboshi does build like a good village. I hope that she has like learned how to prosper in a positive way. Not that she wasn't giving people great positive lives.
I didn't know how to feel when she was like, they can take care of themselves. Like, I feel like I needed to take it as she had faith in them, but I don't know. I was like slightly mad at her, but then also slightly like, should I be mad? Is she really acting saying that because she does really have faith in the women that are at the ironworks? I don't know. That part, I was a little torn.
I was upset
on how to feel about her in that moment. Still a little torn. I'm like, okay, why was she doing all of this? Just because of the emperor, but she's fighting off these samurai at the same time. Seems like lose-lose.
What do you think about like the curse reacting to the deer god? Like, is it like
the curse was reacting to those that it knew and those that it was mad at? It was almost like the curse was Nago himself.
It was like the embodiment of that, because like like the one guy who was in Eboshi's like secret garden hut who
Yeah.
like couldn't move, because he had a line like that was talking about his own like rage as well. And I wonder if it's like a general, like it brings out the worst negative emotions with you and enhances that and like distills that. Or
But it's almost like if that's the case, then it brings out in Ashitaka his rage about people hating each other.
Yeah.
He's angry because of people fighting. He's like, why are you doing this? Why are you hating each other? Can't we all just freaking live in peace? Like, that is his own rage. That's what he's angry about.
Did you like that Ashitaka like was really trying to get a feel for the village that he was in and like help with like the work?
I liked that he tried to understand the work that they do.
Yeah. It's just like there's such a great reminder in like a lot of shows that we watch that come from Japan, but like especially this movie, that it's like life isn't simple. Like maybe
people aren't simple.
Maybe you should live simply, but the idea of there being a right and a wrong 100% of the time, and there aren't different perspectives and different emotions and feelings that everybody has and beliefs. Like I love being reminded of that fact, because it really helps me like appreciate and handle life in general. This movie had me mad introspective, dude.
I think we enjoy content that reflects real life in the way that it shows that every single person is an individual who has their own goals, desires, feelings, thoughts about things, how they handle other people, how they handle bad things that happen to them. Like, everything is so complex. And that's what's so interesting, is I don't really know if I sometimes it's nice to experience something that's just kind of matter of fact, cut and dry. This is how it is. This is good. This is bad. But it's so fun to like take 2 hours of your time to watch something that reflects real life in the way that things aren't simple at all.
It like every time that you just saw the reminders of outcome of war, the death, like just like you hate to see it regardless of your reason or motive. Like I just hate being reminded that,
like, if you think of those samurai before, like, it might make some sense that they were fighting at the ironworks because their leader, I think it was Asano, wanted a piece of the iron, wanted to be a part of that, wanted it for himself.
Yeah.
But then we remember that at the beginning of the movie, when we were introduced to the samurai, they were killing villagers.
Yeah.
Like, poor, common villagers. They were taking over their village. They were probably stealing from them and doing a lot of other horrible things other than killing them.
I'm trying to the one thing that all of the village, like different sides, all had in common was through war they bred death. And from like the quote earlier in the movie, we cannot change fate, but like is warring with each other changing fate? Is fate inevitable in the sense that humans are going to fight and they're going to die, or is there a way to change fate so that people can die of a different cause, natural? I just hate seeing war.
I'm not going to do any like Attack on Titan spoilers or anything.
Yeah.
But the questions you're asking about are people just meant to constantly always be at war? Is that just inevitable to always be fighting? I believe is questions that I think of when I watch that show.
I agree. I mean, but my biggest sympathy, I guess, with the Ironworks was like they needed food, right? They needed to go into the mountains for like food. So like I was like, okay, if you can't live and you need food, that's understandable. And there's that line that you need to be able to like survive yourself and care for your village, but also like don't step too far. Don't take too much. Take what you need.
Take what you need from, I think that's been a rule of the forest almost, to take what you need. And like if we think about practices that happen now, if you cut down a tree, you plant a new one. You give and you take. or you take and then you give back rather.
This movie like had me like trying to like work through my fear of death. Like I was this movie.
I mean, I feel like Spirited Away has a similar element of facing kind of life and death, afterlife.
I love this movie. I feel like I have to sit with it for like a day or two to really like gauge my overall opinion. I'm honestly probably gonna watch it once or twice.
Yeah.
More.
I think compared to like, I know I'm not like ranking or anything, but compared to something like Howl's Moving Castle, I think I understood what was happening the whole time, basically, for this movie.
Yeah.
Where Howl's Moving Castle is a little more like disorienting. You're not quite sure sometimes if you know exactly what's happening. And I remember after the first time I watched that movie, I kind of like looked a couple stuff up on my phone to like see explanations of things that had happened.
Yeah.
What I had just witnessed. And I loved it because it was like a poem. Like, I studied Shakespeare in college and poetry, and you have to dissect it. You have to break it down to fully understand exactly what is being said and what is happening. And that's how I felt with that movie. And this, it was like equally as complex, but I feel like I definitely understood what was happening. My only question marks are on why certain people felt the way they did or acted the way that they did.
I agree with you, and I also think like going back to like Shakespeare-esque, like the more you dissect it and see what the intent was in writing, the more you can potentially appreciate it. Mm-hmm. The thirst to possess heaven and earth is what makes us human. A lot of humans have that belief and trait and desire when they get the chance to actually reach for that and control that. Mm-hmm.
And doesn't he call the emperor the son of God?
Yeah. I just, maybe the thirst to possess heaven and earth is what makes us human, but just because you have that thirst and that's human nature doesn't mean you have to go for it.
Act on it.
Yeah. Maybe it's to control that thirst. Maybe it's to relate that thirst and understand everyone has it, and then choose to control that urge and push forward in a more positive way. I don't know.
I think really the thirst is probably, in my mind, or more like a reality to me, would be the thirst is for life.
Yeah.
To stay alive, to avoid death, and to be able to control that. Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to put it, because I think that is human nature. Everyone, I think I can't speak for everyone, but I'm afraid of death occasionally. And like the thought to control that, I would be lying if I said was not like enticing. Oh, if I could live forever kind of thing. But the beauty in life has to be that it comes to an end at some point, and that you don't control that. This movie has me rethinking life and death, dude. I love this movie.
Okay, good movie.
Good movie.
Good suggestion. Thank you.
If you have any other suggestions, please leave them down below in the comment section.
And hopefully they are just as good.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
Like, she's in charge of the Ironworks, and they respect her. Like, she's in charge of the Ironworks, and they respect her. Like, she's in charge of the Ironworks.
Like, she's in charge of the Ironworks.